Hello and welcome back to Bamster's Rated R podcast. This is the episode of the month where you can get your kicks on episode 166 with TJ and I.
Wow, you
for
used
our
it.
comic shop talk. You're damn right I used it.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for coming back.
and hopefully after that, you'll come back again, but...
I mean, with that joke, I don't know. Wowzers.
Hey, you set it up. I put it out there.
Man, that sounds illegal.
So we're gonna touch on about 7 or 8 things this time around. All of it, obviously, comic shop talk. So it's gonna be comic book related, either about individual books, series, or the movies or TV shows related to those things. First up here, something you tossed on my desk just a moment ago. Marvel's New Mutants: War Children.
Yes.
So tell me about that. What's going on there?
The classic team of Chris Claremont and Bill Sienkiewicz back on New Mutants again. I mean, this is huge. They, they had this amazing run on New Mutants. Issues 18 to 31. They did, the Demon Bear saga. They created Legion, which is a huge show on FX right now. So just seeing all these characters come back together with Claremont and Sienkiewicz at the helm is super cool. Kitty Pryde as Shadowcat is going to be guest starring in there. So something like this, I mean, that's going to immediately get me. So I'm pretty excited to see all these characters back together. That's going to be a huge deal.
Now, I'm guessing they're probably doing this to kind of prime the market for the New Mutants movie that's due out later this year.
If it ever comes out, number one.
Well, it's supposed to.
Yeah, but, there's all these pushbacks, so I'm not putting anything on it. Usually I would say, this is totally to, push for a movie, or all of that stuff. But, I mean, getting a team like this together, this would be like, oh, here's a Daredevil movie coming out, and Frank Miller and Klaus Janson are going to be on Daredevil again. Like, that. This isn't for a movie. Like, this is really cool that this is happening. This is a pretty big deal. So even if the movie doesn't come out, it's, the fact that we're getting this classic team, these classic groups of characters. Obviously, Doug Ramsey is alive in here. We've got Warlock. I mean, classic lineup here. Danny Moonstar, Sunspot, Cannonball, who's one of my top 5 X-Men of all time. Magic, Wolfsbane, and Magma. I mean, this is really exciting. So, and I mean, it's a brand new story as well. So this is going to be very cool.
Sweet. Well, I was going to save this till later, but since we're talking X-Men and mutants and whatnot, I know you and I chit-chatted a little bit about Dark Phoenix. Now, I will say this. Neither one of us has actually gone out to see the movie yet. It's on my list of things to check out, but it's one of those that I think I was just going to wait for video on.
It's definitely very low on the list of things to check out for me.
But why is that?
Because I don't care about X-Men movies anymore. No, I mean, look, Days of Future Past was a great place to end this franchise. You had an entire cast of new actors playing new X-Men, and then the end of the movie ends with all of the classic Singer era actors playing the X-Men again. Kelsey Grammer as Beast, and James Marsden and Famke Jensen as Scott and Jean, and Anna Paquin back as Rogue, and all of these characters, all these actors back, like,
and it was the last time they had Wolverine.
That's your bookend, man. Like, that's your bookend right there. Yeah. So it's and look, as great as James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender are as Professor X and Magneto, it's not enough for me to continue to get excited. Plus, I mean, at the end of which one was it with the kids? Was it at the end of Days of Future Past where or no? See, I don't even remember.
I love how you're asking me to remember something.
Yeah, well, that's because I just don't care about this. I'll be honest with you. The X-Men movie with all the kids in it, and at the end of the movie, You've got them in like their 90s style costumes, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. If we're gonna get another X-Men movie, at least they'll look like the Chris Claremont, Jim Lee period and all that. But we get a movie that actually takes place, in that kind of 90s period, and they're wearing the frank, quietly new X-Men nonsense. So I don't care.
For myself, I'll say I thought it was strange that they went with this story for this one because of the way that Future Past turned out, and you've got the old characters, the new character, or I should say the older actors, the newer actors, whatnot. And so they did a Dark Phoenix movie with the other set of X-Men actors. So I thought that was kind of strange that they were doing this. My disappointment, or I should say my expected disappointment, in the comics, this is one of the few comics, like when I was reading stuff when I was a kid, I was reading Wolverine, I was reading Spider-Man. Eventually I picked up things like Spawn and the Max because I got into that stuff.
Sure.
But when I was reading X-Men, I do remember a little bit of the Dark Phoenix saga. I do remember like this kind of, at least for me as a kid, maybe there were other points that had happened and I just didn't read them, but this was bringing in like these intergalactic characters at that point. Like it introduced the X-Men to this whole like universe of characters out there that were previously unknown, at least to me, or as far as I knew in the comics. And I don't expect that we're going to see any of that in the comic. And that was really like, in the comics, it was a gateway to this whole new...
Or in the movie.
Yeah, we won't see it in the movie. But in the comics, it was like this gateway to all these new characters from all these different universe, or like planets and solar systems and stuff like that. Was it like the Shi'ar or something like that?
The Shi'ar Empire.
Yeah, and I don't expect that we're going to see any of that in the film, which to me is disappointing, especially when you take a look at things like Guardians of the Galaxy. So many times we get stuck with movies that are forcing us to only deal with or to deal more with human characters on Earth. The old He-Man movie that took place on Earth back in the 80s. Why did it take place on Earth? Because movie studios didn't think they could sell a movie that took place on a foreign planet.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy is a perfect example. It's not the only one, and there have been other movies that have happened in the past, Aliens and stuff like that. But it's just, come on, how many times have we shown that this can work? So why can't we get that kind of storyline?
It's just, they distill things to its most base to the point where you lose any real type of flair or excitement for these characters. It's the same problem that Titans has had with instead of letting these characters be complex and be multi-layered, let's go dark and edgy. And with the X-Men movies, it's instead of there being these multi-layered situations for these characters, let's take all of those things and distill them to its most base. The Daredevil movie had the same problem. The Mark Steven Johnson, Ben Affleck movie, where, hey, here's all these great Daredevil stories. Let's mix them all together into one movie. Like, where do you go from there? Where do you grow from there? And as for Dark Phoenix Saga, how do you take just this, months to a year-long build in the comics that Chris Claremont and John Byrne put together and turn it into a 2-hour movie? I mean, this is a 2-part movie if you're making this right. So, for me at this point, it's kind of a mercy kill. I don't mean that disrespectfully, because I know that they all put their best foot forward into it, and I get it. But I'm just ready for the X-Men to take a year or two off and introduce them into the MCU.
There you go. Well, talking about another film that might be trying to throw too much at you at once, the new Bat Flick. And that's what I'm going to call it, the Bat Flick. I'm hearing we're going to have 6 villains. So are we going the way of like Batman and Robin at this point, with a little too much going on all at the same time? This is the lineup I'm hearing rumors of: Penguin, Riddler, Catwoman, Two-Face, possibly also Mad Hatter and Firefly. Now, the cool thing about Mad Hatter and Firefly is we've not seen them on the big screen. Mm-hmm. The other villains we have seen in one or more cases before. But is it too much? I mean, it seems a little like it might be a little bit too much all at once.
It depends. So first, let me go on record and say this: I have no problem whatsoever with Robert Pattinson playing Batman. That does not bother me at all. I don't care about the Twilight stuff, and that is a non-entity for me as far as him playing Batman. So let's remove any and all of that out of the conversation.
Nope. But not for the reasons you think.
No. Yeah.
No. It's just too much fun. Disco ball Batman.
But you see, look, wait, what is that thing in the room? That dead horse. Why are we beating it? Stop it. He's already dead.
It's just too funny to joke about. No, I agree. I mean, I know that a lot of folks are saying that, and for
they're
myself,
not even saying it. They're just harping on it. Like, it's
right. Look, for the choices,
you are not clever anymore. Like, no, it's not funny.
Well, it is funny.
Your mileage may vary. I think my car ran out of gas, but it's one of those things where, at this point, I'll take it.
Well, here's the thing. He wouldn't have been my first choice. I don't even know that he would have been on the list for me, but I haven't seen the same things that these folks have seen. And now that this is official and final, I've said it before, I hope that in the way that Michael Keaton proved his naysayers wrong, I hope that he proves folks wrong, that he does well with the role. Because ultimately what it comes down to, we want a good Batman movie. I mean...
at this point, if I don't get a good Batman movie, I want no Batman movies, and I'm saying it. I'm over it. But if you're going to have 6 Batman villains, and looking at that, you've got Penguin, Riddler, Catwoman, Two-Face, possibly the Mad Hatter, and possibly Firefly. It's not year 1, but it's early in his career. Okay, cool. Clearly you're making Long Halloween by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. So, I don't know. I mean, it's still... I love that comic. I don't think everything is meant to be adapted for film. I think some things are done for the medium that they are done for. So
I feel like if you're doing that many villains, though, there's going to be several that are just cameo purposes. Like maybe the opening scenes of the film.
Sure.
He's like facing off with, I don't know, Penguin, and then like throws him in Arkham or something, like that, and then you don't see Penguin the rest of the film.
Do you want to do a Batman movie? Fine, okay. Do you want to do a Batman movie that'll stand out? Do villains that we've never seen before. Mad Hatter and Firefly. Mad Hatter is a good choice. Firefly is okay. The problem that a lot of Batman fans have is they can't seem to see when a character is a B-level character, or sometimes worse, even C-level. Firefly is a cool villain, but he's a B-level Batman villain. But if we're going to do another Batman movie, and you want to do something really cool and different and kind of out there, give me a Clayface movie. Give me a horror movie. Do Man-Bat. Like, superheroes are a genre. Superheroes are it is not... Superheroes don't comprise every medium for comics, but you can do every medium in comics within the confines of superhero storytelling.
Yeah.
So if you were to give me a horror movie that is about Man-Bat, I'm with it. I'm 100% with it. That would be a lot of fun. You want to do a Batman movie that's multi-layered and complex? Cool. Do Robin's origin for real. Like, do the actual Bruce is at the circus because he has to be, for Wayne Enterprises or whatever,
right.
Has to make the charity appearance. And then once again, fate has intervened on his life and he realizes he's there for an absolute reason. There are so many different things that you can do with this character, and nobody does those things with this character because it's always Batman and Joker, or Batman and Catwoman, or Batman and Joker again, or Batman is fighting Superman because Superman's an alien. And in the socio-political world we are living in today, the last thing I want is a xenophobic Batman because Superman is different. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So it's give me something that feels like a detective Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Give me something that feels like a superhero Batman. I don't care which one it is, but no more crazy realistic Batman or psychotic paranoid Batman. It's time to put them to rest.
Yeah, we've not really gotten a good detective Batman story, which would be awesome.
I don't think we've ever really gotten a good detective Batman story. Maybe in the first Batman film with the Joker, with him having to figure out the Joker chemicals and all that, sure.
Yeah, a little bit, I guess.
But here is the reality of things that people that they refuse to accept when it comes to Batman movies. Batman doesn't do his own detective work.
A lot of it
it's always Alfred, and then it was Lucius Fox.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So no,
but he's always interfacing with the police department and looking at what they've been doing, and
like I want to see Batman who he is supposed to be. It's the mental and physical specimen of human perfection. Give me that.
Which is cool because when you think about something like Man-Bat,
dude, how rad would Man-Bat be?
Yeah. Because then you set him up as that, and then you kind of take it away.
For sure. And everybody always wants, and I also think that this is really stupid as well, so pardon me, but everybody always wants these tragic villains to the point where you feel more emotion for the villain than you do for the hero, which, if you've heard me on the show before, I'm over that crap, but Kirk Langstrom's a victim. Let him be the victim. Batman thinks he's out to stop this monster, and really he's trying to save this guy from said monster, and the monster is himself and all that. I think there's a lot there. There's a lot of mental and emotional pathos as far as Bruce trying to save himself from his own monster. I mean, there's a lot of symbolism there. You can do really cool things. You just have to stop going for that low-hanging fruit.
Well, and as a quick aside, not too long ago, I watched the Batman Ninja Turtles crossover animated. That was fun. I mean, it was goofy fun. It wasn't like, but it's something cool and funny to sit and watch with your kid. So enjoyable in that way. But you're okay. So you're talking about Man-Bat, and one of the first things that came to mind is,
is it the Man-Bat Ninjas?
No.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
No.
Where he turns for part of the time. He turns into Man-Bat, but.
I'm thinking about like the Grant Morrison run where he had Man-Bat ninjas working for Ra's al Ghul.
No, okay, nothing like that. This Splinter teams up with Ra's al Ghul, and the Turtles encounter Batman, first fighting him, then they team up together. But so anyway, like I said, it was cute, it was funny, it definitely something fun to sit and watch with the kids. But when you were mentioning Man-Bat, one of the things I thought was, and I can't remember what they called him in the comics. I almost want to say Man-Spider instead of Spider-Man, but where Spider-Man grows out is. He has like 6 arms or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And then mutates into the Man-Spider.
Would that not be a cool horror film to see in like the MCU or Sony's Spider-Man series with Tom Hiddleston?
Tom Holland?
Wait. Oh, see, I did that because of the Thor thing that we just watched.
Yeah. No, I think that would be fun depending on who your villain is.
Well, see, now that would be a cool way to also maybe have like Mobius or the Hunter Morbius. Man, I'm doing all kinds of shit today apparently. Now I'm afraid to say it.
Craven the Hunter?
Yeah, I almost said Kurgan. I'm like, Kurgan's not right. What the hell am I saying?
Highlander. No,
yeah, I know, right? He was a hunter in his own right.
No, if I'm gonna do anything involving Spider-Man's genetics, and please,
well, now you're talking lizard, right?
No, please don't tune out, audience, when I say this. The Jackal, who created the Spider Clone, and then the Clone Saga and all that happened. If you're going to play around with any of Spider-Man's genetics, it's a great way to springboard into that. So,
but I mean, I just think that could be kind of like in the way that they almost kind of tried to do, bear with me here, make the whole thing with Venom when they did Venom like a horror type thing. And I'm not talking about the most recent Venom movie.
Yeah.
But there were aspects of Spider-Man 3 that it felt like they were trying to do something kind of
that movie was a horror movie in itself. Am I right?
Yeah. So, did you see the thing online that should become some kind of internet meme? It was hilarious, where it was the girl in the hallway feeding him cookies while he's talking on the phone, but instead of cookies, it's Infinity Gems. And then when he's doing his dance, where he's like strutting around and moving his hips and shit, and he's snapping, and as he snaps, and then it shifts back to Avengers Endgame with different people like phasing out of existence.
Oh boy, no, I haven't seen that. It sounds funny though.
Well, speaking of funny and Spider-Man and team ups, there's a rumor we're looking at maybe for Spider-Man 3, Deadpool.
There's nothing funny about this.
Oh come on, these guys have teamed up how many times in the comics now?
There's nothing funny about this.
You're just being a hater.
No, I am not being a hater. I'm being someone who's right. Okay. I don't understand the fascination of the Spider-Man Deadpool team-ups. Just before I had mentioned low-hanging fruit. I mean, okay, red costume, white eyes with black around them, and funny for different reasons. It really kind of ends there because Deadpool has a body count, man, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Deadpool has a body count, and Peter has no tolerance for that at all.
Yeah.
So I don't see the buddy comedy in this. Like it does nothing for me. Now I know that there's someone who's listening is like, but TJ, what about Spider-Man and Wolverine? You've mentioned before that you like Spider-Man and Wolverine teaming up. Sure, I absolutely like Spider-Man and Wolverine teaming up. And Wolverine has quite the body count himself as well.
Yep.
Here's the difference. There is a ton of remorse and a ton of wishing he could go back and change that in Logan. And it's why he's taken all of these steps to being better, to the point where Logan became a teacher, where he and Scott reversed their roles, and Scott became the soldier and Logan became the mentor, to the point where he's taken Spider-Man under his wing the same way that he's done for Kitty and for Jubilee and for Armor and for Rogue and for all of these other characters. And I don't view Deadpool in the same manner, and I don't see Spider-Man and Spider-Man of all people having a tolerance for him. I never understood the appeal.
Well, at least the rumor that's being passed around right now is this is how they introduced Deadpool into the Sony Spider-Man MCU like tie-in.
Introduce him in the X-Men movies. He doesn't,
which would make more
there.
sense. Yeah, I think that would make more sense. This could be a fun way to do it. It could be something funny, but yeah, it would make more sense.
Honestly, I see this as like, and don't hate me for this, people. I see this as, tapping in more into cosplay culture than I do actual content. It's, all those videos of all these guys acting like dorks at cons dressed as Spider-Man and Deadpool together. Let's make a movie for them. I'm not saying that you can't have a moment between Peter and Deadpool, but Peter's moral compass is such, especially the way they've had it written in these movies, where there is no tolerance for a guy like Deadpool.
What if, I'm just going off the cuff here.
Sure.
Pitch a story idea. It starts with Peter trying to find out who's, doing all these killings or whatever.
Okay.
Which we as the audience see and know that it's Deadpool.
Sure.
Then Peter encounters Deadpool at the scene where he expects some assassin to show up.
Sure.
Deadpool plays it off like he's there to try and stop the assassin. The two of them get separated during some kind of scuffle with, I don't know, gangsters, Yakuza, whatever. Deadpool accomplishes his mission. Spidey walks in after it's all said and done. Deadpool's like, oh, the guy got away. And then the two of them go through this little buddy cop period of things where Deadpool's kind of hiding what he's doing because he knows Spider-Man doesn't like it. Towards the end of the movie, the last third of the movie, that Spider-Man finds out, and now they're against each other.
If you're going to play something like that, it has to be because Deadpool genuinely likes Spider-Man.
Well, but he would have been looking up to Spider-Man. You can do some of the jokes where people call him Spider-Man, and
I don't know if I necessarily see him looking up to Spider-Man. I see him as, admiring what he does.
Yeah.
But, things like that, the moment Peter finds out, there are great moments between guys like Spider-Man and Wolverine. I wouldn't want to waste this on Deadpool, but there are great moments where you have, Logan basically trying to explain to Peter the reason the world needs people like you is because there are too many people like me. Deadpool could say something like that, but in a more Deadpool sort of way.
It doesn't have the same resonance.
But exactly. The weight that Logan carries on his shoulders, to me, is something that Peter has to look at, and it makes him step out of his own kind of guilt and realize in a lot of ways what real guilt is.
Yeah.
So there's a fascinating sort of dichotomy between those two characters that when you do that with Spider-Man and Deadpool, it feels less about character development and more of setup for the next joke.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for Deadpool, that definitely makes sense.
So, I'm not saying I wouldn't want to see them on screen together, just because Ryan Reynolds is perfect and I love him, and he is so much fun as Deadpool that it makes me hate Deadpool less. He's so good.
I can remember, what was it with the second one that we went and saw, and we were leaving that, and you were like, I can't believe it. That movie made me actually feel bad for Deadpool.
That was great. It was really cool. I guess it's one of those things where, in order for Spider-Man to spend that amount of time with Deadpool, you have to write Spider-Man as an idiot, and he's not.
I think if you write it in such a way that Deadpool is both clever and lucky, Spider-Man doesn't have to be as much of an idiot, because Spider-Man can want to believe that he's being able to team up with somebody who is also trying to do something good.
The luck has to run out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like, the final third of the movie is, Spider-Man discovers that it's actually Deadpool, and now it's the two of them.
But if it's 2 hours of me watching Spider-Man and Deadpool, no. I can't.
All right. Well, before we leave Spider-Man behind, it appears that on social medias, the interwebs, if you will, that they are teaming up another, or I should say, I said teaming up. They are teasing another team up of Spider-Man with the Fantastic Four.
Another one. I mean, that's cool. I guess it's. So I think it's a little weird, only because we've seen a bajillion Spider-Man Fantastic Four team ups. So I don't view this as social media announcement worthy. I just view this as in the next issue. So there clearly has to be more to this than just it's a Spider-Man Fantastic Four team up, because
think we're going to see him back in a black and white suit?
Nope. I think
that wasn't my favorite version of the costume anyway.
Oh, what, like the black and white symbiote outfit?
No, the one where he was in like the all white with the black spider.
The Future Foundation outfit.
Yeah.
No. They won't go back to that. They're the Fantastic Four again. No one's going to be wearing the Future Foundation outfits, as cool as they were. But my personal opinion, I think it's we're gonna go a little old school here and get the return of the new Fantastic Four, the Art Adams two-parter from Fantastic Four, where it's Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, Wolverine, and the Hulk as the FF. I think that's what we're getting. You don't make an announcement like this for just a team-up.
Well, and how much of this do you think might be them priming the market for potential Fantastic Four in the MCU? You don't think this has anything to do with that?
No.
Because I often think that sometimes when stuff like this happens, that there is a connection there, because they're both trying, these two separate companies are still both trying to feed off of each other's success.
No. As much as I want it to be different, the publishing doesn't matter as far as all that goes. Advertising on a billboard does more for Marvel than their entire publishing output sometimes, and that breaks my heart. But no, I totally see this as the return of the new Fantastic Four, and I'm really hoping that that's the case, because I loved those issues so much when I was growing up. I mean, it was probably like some of my earliest introduction to Art Adams artwork anyway, so that was always really cool, other than like classic X-Men, the reprint issues. But also, I mean, it was 1991, so it's Danny Ketch Ghost Rider, it's Grey Hulk, it's Patch Wolverine, and Spider-Man, who's on top of the world at that point. So, I mean, it could not have been cooler, especially when you're 10 years old. It's FF issues 348 and 349. I'm showing Drac the covers now, because I don't know if you've seen these before. So yeah, it's Art Adams and Artsy Bear are the penciler and inker on them. I mean, these are the four most popular characters that Marvel is publishing at this point, other than the X-Men. And Wolverine can stand on his own,
right,
as far as X-Men franchise goes. And then, yeah, there's issue 349. That cover is super cool. I mean, it's just so much fun. And especially when you're a kid, like the idea of other characters in other people's books is always really cool. But when you've got four of the most popular characters in arguably the greatest superhero team ever in comics in their book. It's pretty awesome.
You mentioned Wolverine again, and this is something I meant to bring up when we were talking about Spidey and Wolverine, and I just kind of want to jump back to it real quick.
Yeah.
We saw this quick little article thing with, it was like an interview with Keanu Reeves about, if he could play superhero characters, who would he want to play? And basically he said that, there's pretty much only one character that he would probably play. Or maybe there was two, but I think it was just the one character, he thought he would ever play, which was Wolverine. Love him as Ted.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome as John Wick.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been in several other things. One I just watched not too long ago, Replicas, which was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying he couldn't do it, but I don't know. I feel like I have a hard time seeing him as Wolverine in a way. Like,
at one point I would have until the John Wick movies.
Really? Well, yeah, the physicality of those are it's impressive.
And forget the physicality aspect of it. The intensity that he brings to his on-screen presence,
mm-hmm.
number one. Number two, the way every scene and everybody's take on Wolverine is different. I personally like the cool badass Wolverine who's really the tragic heartbroken loner.
Oh, well, I could definitely see him.
And when you watch John Wick, there is a tragic heartbreak to his loneliness.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really cool. And then, by the end of, John Wick, he's got a new dog, right? Wolverine, always a new sidekick for him, I always laugh at how, Wolverine is the badass loner type, but it's not even that he always has another partner. It's always a kid.
Mm.
And it's almost always a young girl, helping them find their inner tough, helping them find their place so that they can take care of themselves. And I always find that element to Logan really fascinating. I love a short, stocky Wolverine already at this point.
Right.
Just because, I'd like to see Wolverine look like Wolverine. But I don't believe he couldn't pull it off.
No, I'm not saying I don't think he could not, because I got a lot of respect for him as an actor, just seeing, a bunch of the different stuff that he's been in over the years. If he approached the role in any way like he's approached John Wick, I'm sure it would be impressive. Just from the outside looking in, without any of that, though, it's just one of those deals where I'm looking at it, I'm like, just trying to picture him with the hair like that and seeing him, it would be interesting. I would have to see it. Like, I just have a hard time picturing it is all.
There's only one way you set him apart, and that's put him in the costume.
Oh, we finally get the costume. That would be awesome.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
So, call me crazy.
But again, are they going to cover up his face, or even half of his face? Is he too breathtaking?
Right. Here's the thing. Carl Urban, the studio wanted to take his helmet off for Dredd. And he was one of the guys who was like, nope, Judge Dredd doesn't take the helmet off, so we don't need to see my face. And while Carl Urban isn't necessarily as big an actor as Keanu, this is a guy who the 3 movies he's in right now are John Wick 3, Toy Story 4, and Always Be My Maybe on Netflix, which you should all watch, by the way, because it was so good. But I don't necessarily... And he plays a dialed up to 11 parody of Keanu.
Oh, yeah, no, that movie was good. Yeah.
So for me, I don't need to see his face, and I don't think he's the guy who necessarily needs his face seen if it calls for importance to the role. I could see him wearing the mask.
After the stuff I just heard from E3 this past week, where they were talking about how they sat down with him and they approached him about playing Johnny Silverhand, and like he just got right into it and was like, oh, okay, so like, maybe he would be thinking like this and sitting like this and talking about things like that. It's like he was already like focused into the role, which I thought was really cool.
He was never my first choice for Wolverine, and to be honest with you, I was kind of looking forward to not talking about this subject. But the more I talk about it, the more I'm finding myself that I'm convincing myself he can play Wolverine. So it's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
No, I ain't mad at that at all.
Okay, so before we get to our final topic, which will probably end up being really quick, the show that no one asked for and maybe no one wants to see, or maybe people do, I don't know, Pennyworth.
Oh, man. Oh,
this one passed me by. Like, I do remember, I think we talked about, I don't know that we ever talked about it on the show before.
No.
But we did, it was something that you and I did briefly talk about way back when.
Yep.
I completely forgot they were even doing it.
They're going to touch into his origin, about how he was bitten by a radioactive butler. It's going to be awesome.
I was waiting for you to go. They're going to touch into his origin about how he was born in England.
Yeah, like, no. I like Alfred a lot. You know, you talk to me for 5 minutes, you know I like Batman's family of characters more than I like Batman himself. So Alfred very much is on that level for me as far as characters that I care about goes. But what makes Alfred work so well as far as what he does in Batman's War on Crime, it is not that Alfred is this, you know, badass MI6 CIA, you know, whatever nonsense they want to do. Like, yeah, okay, he was in Her Majesty's Royal Army. I buy that. I'm fine with that. I totally buy him as like having to be a field medic or whatever. That's great because it explains why he can dress Bruce's wounds and all of that. I'm fine. I'm totally with it. I don't need Alfred being this guy who is as badass when he was young as Batman is. Because why is Batman special then? Like, how does nobody... Like, I don't understand the people in these boardrooms who are like, yeah, an Alfred show. That's it.
What haven't we done yet with the Batman character?
That's what we've been missing. It's like they want to have all of these shows do Batman things without it being Batman. And
Gotham is a perfect example of that.
Like,
let's introduce.
Let's have all of Batman's villains in there without Batman.
But we did finally get him at the end. I wish you guys could have seen that. Oh,
but this nonsense is just the same.
Yeah.
As the people who like this are the same people like, oh, Batman's villains are cool because they wouldn't exist without Batman. Batman created them. They always romanticize this nonsense bullshit about how Batman is the same side, is the opposite side of the same coin. And, oh God, I hate it. I hate this nonsense. It's stupid. It's dumb. There's no need for an Alfred show. There's not. I mean. If the Alfred show was a show about Alfred's perspective of Bruce's war on crime, maybe I would watch that. And I would watch 4 episodes of it before even I got tired of it. Because what else am I going to watch when Bruce is out jumping off of roofs? Alfred polishing the silver? Yeah, right. Like, you know, there's...
Well, I mean, he could go get groceries.
Oh, for sure. He could tutor Master Dick, you know. There you go. That's great. Oh, no, he can't because Dick's going to be off the rooftop kicking some mobster in the face. So who cares?
Yeah, no, I almost feel like Agent Carter was a fan favorite.
Sure.
And I almost feel like they're trying to tie into that fandom.
There are other DC characters you can do this type of stuff with.
Oh, I agree. But are they going to take the chance, you know, on characters that are not as well known? Mm-hmm. And then after we just got Gotham and we see, you know, the way that Alfred was in Gotham, the way that he was. Yeah, but they're going to try to build off that. I think they're trying to pull some of the fandom from Gotham. They're trying to pull fandom from Agent Carter with regards to Jarvis.
Is the subject of today's episode low-hanging fruit? Because that's what I feel like all of this has been.
Well, you know, right now, actually, I want like a sound effect or maybe even like some kind of gift to throw in right before this topic where it's like winding up a monkey. Because here we go, we're getting TJ wound up.
No, all I hear is the bam, 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 wow, from The Price is Right. I mean, look, I don't care about a Krypton show, to be honest. But hey, I mean, I guess Lobo comes out of that, so that's cool.
I haven't started watching season 2 yet. I watched season 1.
I don't know.
It was okay. I don't know how much I actually care for the premise of the show.
It's always, hey, let's do a Superman show, but, not about Superman. And Supergirl is different because while she is derivative of Superman, she is a character who can exist unto herself, and that works great.
Yep.
So that's different. But, and Superman's great on there, too. So I'm totally fine with that.
And as much as I love Smallville, it was a little bit frustrating that for so long you don't get Superman. And then at the final episode at the very end, instead of actually getting to see him wear the costume, it's some blurry, way off in the distance, like probably not even him, probably CGI or something. Like, come on, man. Give us the payoff. At least, while it wasn't the greatest version of a Batman costume, at least we got something like that with Gotham where he's finally in a costume.
Yeah.
Versus...
I guess, but now, and then here's the problem with that, and this is always one of those things that bugs me. So the kid who plays Batman on Gotham, right?
Probably shouldn't have been old enough at this point to be in the costume yet. But I appreciate that they made the effort. It looks like a really early version of a Bat costume, not an experienced and
that's totally fine. But hear me out on this, okay? Because I can't remember right now this. All right, so the kid who plays Bruce on the show, the actor's name is David Mazouz. Okay, he's 18 years old, and they have him as a year one Batman, right?
Yeah.
But then you've got the hell is this guy's name?
Which is a young Bruce Wayne. I thought he did an excellent job.
Sure.
Yeah.
But then you've got Brenton Thwaites on the Titans show, who I think is in his early 30s. Is it? Okay, he's 29. So the actor who plays Robin on the Titans show is 29. And the actor who plays Batman on Gotham is 18.
But these are two different shows taking place.
It's not the point. It's the problem with the way they approach these shows. We need a young Batman because whatever their nonsense is, and we need an old Robin because no one's going to take Robin as a kid seriously, even though the entire point of Robin is that he's a kid.
He's a kid, yeah.
No, this is all stupid. Sorry. I have nothing of actual intelligent thought to offer to this other than this is stupid.
Well, and I think that they really can take a page out of the MCU's book when it comes to world building on a screen, whether it's the big screen or the small screen.
Sure.
They worry about, we can't have somebody on a TV show playing Batman because we're going to have a Batman movie and people might get confused. But then they do this where you've got a young Batman and an old Robin. Like that.
It's stupid.
That seems so counterproductive to the argument that they make as to why you can't get some of these characters on the small screen.
That's all of this as a whole.
Yeah.
It's symptomatic of the embarrassment of source material. I've said it before, I've said it on this show, and I will say it again. The best Batman and Robin you will ever see in a live action movie is Iron Man and Spider-Man.
Okay, well then let's close this out with something Spider-Man related.
Okay.
It looks like Marvel wants comic shops to throw an Absolute Carnage party in preparation for the release of Absolute Carnage #1 on the 7th of August. I guess it's like a launch party kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that should be fun for all of you symbiote obsessies. This is going to be a good time. Carnage is always a good time, so it'll be interesting to see what the comic shops have to offer. Plus, it'll be fun to get people in the comic shops buying Absolute Carnage #1. So, yeah, it should be pretty cool, man. Well, I loved Maximum Carnage when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I still hear the theme song by Green Jelly from the video game in my head every now and again. So, sure, bring it on.
Well, and the cool thing about this is, we'll always talk about, folks needing to go support your local comic shop.
100%.
I think that it's great that you see comic shops that will participate in this, doing events like this to bring people into the shop. You're going to have folks who would come in anyway, and that's great, but do events and get that out there on social media to bring in folks who might not necessarily regularly come in.
Yeah. No, I'm with that. I'm 100% with that. Plus, it's also Spider-Man, so I'm already liking that. But no, it's going to be cool. I think as long as people are going in and you're continuing to create the community that comic shops are really supposed to offer alongside, cool comics and collectibles, it's a win for everybody.
And then the last thing, I didn't have this on our show notes, but we did talk about it right before the show. So right before we get out of here, you'd brought up Noah Centinao.
I guess that's his name, yeah. I don't want to butcher it. I apologize.
Yeah. Oh, I always I always do feel bad about that. But there was what was it? Was it E News or something like that? MTV News. MTV News was talking about, oh, he's got He-Man muscles now. You can tell the guy's been working out, and he's obviously been putting the work in, and I totally respect that. I don't know if I would go so far as to say
I wouldn't call those He-Man muscles.
Yeah, not quite yet. I do hope that they're still continuing to work, but I mean, how much time do we think he really has left to bulk up prior to actual filming?
I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that there's enough time. I mean, you guys have heard me say it on the show before. I have no excitement for the He-Man movie until I see more, because I'm tired of being disappointed constantly. But I mean, veins on a dude's forearm. I mean, sure, he's working out. Good for him. I wouldn't call that a He-Man body.
Not yet, no.
So,
and I love the one that you brought up about the guy that was like a gym rat or something. That was like, guy works out or something. What was the quote from that?
Yeah, there was some guy who was like, as a dude who's bulk, I wouldn't call that bulk.
So, yeah, no, look, the He-Man characters, I think in some respects are like, to maybe some of us, regular comic nerds that aren't bodybuilders, the ones that are bodybuilders, like the He-Man characters are the ones that they would probably, that and, like WWE stars or whatever. These are the ones that they would look to or be interested in or would be inspirations for the things that they do if they're inspired by comic characters.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd say he's closer to Prince Adam.
Sure, and that's fine too.
But yeah, once he holds up that sword and becomes He-Man, there's still some work to be done. But I mean, I think he's on the way. Look, I think he's making good progress.
I'm telling you right now, the most important thing about He-Man, I mean, the bulk obviously is most important on first glance, but as long as he brings a sense of
the bowl haircut,
oh god, the kindness, the courageousness,
right?
All of the things that make He-Man He-Man. Otherwise, he's just some cookie cutter Conan superhero nonsense. Like the character has to feel real,
right?
So hopefully they don't forget that as they're continuing forth on this movie that I doubt is going to happen.
All right. Well, and on that downer, I suppose we're going to end it this week, or I should say this month for this part of the show, since you only get us once a month. Hope you've enjoyed what you've heard. If you have any comments or suggestions, feel free to leave those in the sections available to you. As always, a like, thumbs up, and share is definitely appreciated. So once again, this is Drac and
TJ
with the Bamsters Rated R show on the monthly Comic Shop Talk segment. Thanks again.
Bye.